Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jill, and I'm one of the admissions counselors here at the University of Illinois Springfield. And what I'm going to do today is just sort of give you an overview about our university, and later on there'll be presentations about the freshman experience here and our transfer student experience here. So if you want to, yes, okay. Just a little bit of a snapshot of our university, just some of the things that make us unique. We are the smallest public university in the state of Illinois, so we're a lot more comparable to the size of a lot of private schools here, but we have the advantage of being the public school cost. We have about 5,000 students total, which makes our class size really small. We only have, our class size is about, the biggest class we have here is about 40 people, so no lecture halls or anything like that. Everyone, most classes, 40 is the max, but many are much, much smaller. The ones that are 40 are some of the gen ed classes that everyone takes, but once you're up in your major, classes are quite small. Your professors get to know you really well, which is kind of another unique thing about our university. They really care about you and want you to be successful here. Another perk of it being smaller is that every single student at our university gets the chance to do an internship if they want to do one. And for those who are in more research-based fields like psychology or the sciences, we allow students to do research as undergraduate students. You don't have to wait until grad school to do that here. And we are located in the state capitol, so we're considered a suburban campus, so we're a very safe area and kind of has the rural school feel with the advantage of being in sort of a suburban type area where there's a lot of amenities like restaurants and shopping. Leadership Lived is the pillar of our university. It kind of encompasses everything that we do. And then what that basically means is that you can get really involved here and be the leader at a lot of different things, both academically and in your extracurriculars. You can join clubs everywhere, but here there's a lot more opportunity to maybe be the president or the treasurer secretary of an organization and be a leader within your major. As far as our academics here, we've got outstanding reputation. We are ranked in U.S. News and World Reports as one of the top universities among Midwest master's level universities. We are ranked 4th among the public schools. And our classes are primarily professor taught. We only have a very small handful of classes that are taught by teaching assistants. All the rest are taught by full professors, even laboratory classes. So you do get to know your professors really well, like I said, and they really do care. That's one thing in my years that I've worked here that I've learned from our students that they all seem to emulate, is that the professors really, really care about your success here. And like I mentioned briefly, every single student here gets the chance to do an internship and get some hands-on experience in their field. And a lot of times those internships turn into jobs and careers down the road. And just a few examples. One of our recent graduates, Caitlin, was an accounting major here, and she did an internship the summer after her junior year going into her senior year, and they liked her so much they actually offered her a full-time position before she started her senior year. So her whole senior year she knew she had a full-time job lined up at Archer Daniel Midland, which is ADM. It's in Decatur, Illinois, and it's a Fortune 500 company. And another one of our students, Dylan, is currently very involved. He's working with his professors, like I talked about with undergraduate research opportunities. He's working with Professor Marsh on developing new ways of making the chemistry field more sustainable and affecting the environment less. Continuing on with our academics here, we have 2 different freshman programs. We have a traditional program, which is just like it sounds. Traditional means you'll take the traditional college curriculum where you'll take math classes, history, social sciences, humanities, and all of that. And with our honors program, our honors, rather than taking the traditional social sciences and humanities classes, honor students take an interdisciplinary curriculum that are taught by a variety of different kind of teachers. They use team teaching. And one of the foundations of the program is that we can't solve the problems that face our society with just one way of thinking. So students in the honors program learn from a variety of different kinds of teachers. They may Students all take the same class, but they may learn from environmental science teachers, political science teachers, history teachers, all in that same class. So they get a really well-rounded education and a lot of different viewpoints. So I think it's kind of a great program for people who, a lot of freshmen aren't sure what they want to do yet, so they get exposed to so many different kinds of professors. I think it's a great program for those people and others as well. And our transfer program here, we work with a lot of community colleges in Illinois and around the country to make sure the transition is smooth. So we have transfer agreements at different universities and or different community colleges, and we do our best to make sure that credits transfer in well and the transition is smooth here. UIS is also known in U.S. and World Reports as one of the schools where students graduate with the least amount of debt. That's something that I've watched a lot of the students I know well go through and graduate with very small amounts of loans. So that's definitely a good thing. We've got lots of financial aid options here. We've got great merit-based scholarships and need-based scholarships. Students, of course, apply for the FAFSA for need-based, and we've got scholarships that are automatically awarded, and we also have one large pool of institutional scholarships that students can apply for. And right around 70% of our students do receive financial aid. Then we also have employment on campus for students. Whether or not students are granted federal work study, they can also apply for many jobs around campus. Almost every department on campus employs student workers, and that's a great way for them to help pay for their education. And UIS has a very active student life. We're definitely a smaller school, so I always tell students that you may have to look for things to do a little bit more, but as long as you're paying attention and reading your campus announcements and paying attention to bulletin boards in the residence halls, there are so many things to do on campus and get involved. We are NCAA Division II for athletics, so we do have intercollegiate sports. And if you're interested, you can definitely get in touch with our coaches if you do play and are interested in playing for the university. We have lots of intramurals for those people who enjoy sports but don't necessarily want to compete at that collegiate level. I think there's more than 80 different intramural clubs and things like that you can get involved in. And I know Rec Sports is great with getting things that we don't have. So if there's something you're interested in, it's very easy for us to get things started up for people. All kinds of clubs and organizations. We have religious organizations, we have political organizations, we've got academic clubs, so most majors have a club that goes along with it. There's a lot of cultural clubs and different international clubs, and we also have clubs that are just entirely for fun. And it's really easy at UIS if there's a club that you want that we don't have to get one started up. We have a student who works in our office who, when she began here, was sitting around with some friends and was talking about how less stressful things were when they were little kids, and they used to do fun things like play with Play-Doh and watch Disney movies. So they got together and started a club called Kids at Heart, and it's actually one of the most active clubs on campus now. So they do just that. They watch Disney movies and do fun things to kind of help relieve some of the stress of college and tests and things like that. So we also have a lot of different events on campus all the time. We've got 3 really big weeks where we have event-filled weeks, and then we have different events throughout the year. But one of our biggest weeks is Welcome Week, which is the first week of school when you arrive here in the fall, and there's events all week long. We've got an Involvement Expo, which is similar to a college fair, where all the different clubs around campus will set up tables, and you can kind of go around and see what you might like to get involved in during your time here. There's the Chancellor throws a picnic for our students, and she cooks food for them, and that's free. We usually have a comedian and a concert the first week. We'll take a trip to the local water park that's like $5 for students to attend. And then about a month and a half later, we have homecoming, and our main sport on campus is soccer, so our homecoming game is a soccer game, but previous to the game we have a whole week-long event, different events all week long that students can participate in. And coming up soon here is Springfest, which is one of the hugest events on campus, and it's really amazing to see how involved our campus gets. We've got basically what happens is the students all form teams between 8 to 12 people, and there's week-long events that they compete in, and they begin after night classes end so everyone can participate. And we've got a scavenger hunt, there's trivia night, flag and chant night. They've got all kinds of things that they get involved in, and students are pretty hardcore about that in competition. So the students design a logo, and different teams have different colors. If you can see in that bottom photo there, that's the logo from last year. And each team is a different color with the same logo, and then the team that wins gets a black t-shirt with the logo on it, and that's the championship t-shirt. So that's a very big deal to have those here on campus. We also have our student recreation center that's free for all of our students to use. We've got an indoor running track, racquetball courts. They also convert into squash courts, and we've got basketball courts and volleyball courts for students to use. And there's locker rooms and everything, athletic equipment. There's a great weight room and great cardio room. So that's one of the awesome perks of being a student here, is you get to use that for free. We've got a student lounge, our Stars Lounge, and right now that's sort of the main gathering place on campus, but in a couple of years we'll have a new student union, which is scheduled to be finished in 2016, so that will sort of be the new living room of campus. And beyond campus, there's the city of Springfield, so there are lots of different things to do. We've got lots of shopping and restaurants and cultural activities. We have music festivals in the downtown Springfield area, so there's definitely a lot to do here. One of our students who has typically been very involved, this is Jamal, and he's been very involved as, he's actually a student representative on the University of Illinois Board of Trustees. He's been involved in student government. He's a mentor in our Necessary Steps program, which is a program for freshmen who are first-generation students. And he's also a mentor with the honors program and Big Brothers Big Sisters. So he's been quite involved here, and he's actually got a job lined up for him when he graduates this May at State Farm Insurance. And we've got another student who's been very involved in campus, and her name is Melissa. And she is actually one of the youngest people ever elected to a public office in Illinois. She didn't agree with some of the policies of her hometown, so she decided to run for office, and she ran a campaign and got elected. And she has been pretty involved in the university here. She's a member of the Pre-Law Society and the Catholic Student Organization, and OLAS, which is our Organization of Latino American Students. And as far as living on campus, we've got wonderful housing here. We have two different options for our underclassmen, like lowerclassmen, freshmen, and sophomores. We have residence halls, which are all suite style living, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. We also have townhouses and apartments for our juniors and seniors, which are more apartment style living, and we do have family housing as well for our students who are married or have families of their own already. Our residence halls are wonderful. Usually when people come visit campus, they're just shocked at how outstanding they are. The oldest res hall we have here is 13 years old, so they're really nice and brand new. One's 13 years old and one's about 8 years, 6, 7, 8 years old, right in there. It's pretty new. And the res halls are all suite style, so which means basically 2 students share a dorm room, and then there's 2 rooms, and the 4 of the students share a bathroom. So it's 2 rooms to a bathroom. Nobody has communal bathrooms, and the res halls are co-ed, but they're co-ed by suites. So one suite will be all same gender students, and the next set of suites down the hall may be guys or girls. Everyone lives on the floor together because we don't have to share the communal bathrooms. But the res halls come furnished with all of your furniture. They come with 2 beds, 2 desks, 2 dressers, and they come with a closet. Depending on which res hall you're in, one has a big long closet that you share, one has 2 separate smaller ones, but they're very minimal differences between the 2. And all of the furniture is movable, so you can kind of arrange your room however you want, and the beds have the ability to be lofted or bunked, so you can save some space and kind of arrange your living space however you like. There are cable hookups in every room, and there are 2 internet ports that you can hardwire a computer, but our whole campus is wireless as well. All the residence halls are air conditioned, and there's a lounge on each floor of the residence halls, and laundry on each floor of the residence halls. And the lounges typically have things like a microwave and a refrigerator, but you can certainly supply those own things in your own room. You have to follow certain wattage guidelines, but if you do decide to choose UIS, you'll get that information when you choose your housing on what kind of guidelines you need to follow. And for upperclassmen, we have townhouses and apartments. Both come fully furnished, and they are both 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom. So each person gets their own private bedroom, and you would just share a bathroom with one other person. And the common areas are shared, like the living room and kitchen, and the kitchen comes with everything that you need in it. And I mean, you bring your own pots and pans, but you've got a stove and dishwasher and everything, and a refrigerator. And you just share the common areas with your apartment mates, but you do have your own bedroom at that point. So, and we've got a preview day coming up on April 26th. It's a Saturday, so you don't have to take the day off, hopefully, if you don't work on Saturdays. But we'd love to have you. You can RSVP at the link shown on the screen. And basically what Preview Day encompasses, we have an informational session, and then we've got a panel. We have a parent panel and a student panel, which both have different kinds of information. We have an information expo where you can walk around and talk to different majors and different services on campus. We provide lunch for you, and then after lunch, everyone goes on a campus tour and gets to see the classroom buildings and housing and everything. And we also host individual visits Monday through Friday. So if you can't make it to Preview Day, we'd be happy to have you any other time, and you can give our office a call and we'll set that up for you. Does anyone have any questions? No questions yet, though?
Remind them about the contact info. You remind them of the
Okay.
contact info.
Our contact info is listed on the screen, so if you do think of questions that you'd like to answer later, you're more than welcome to send us an email or give us a call. We're open 8:30 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Do we have any frequently asked questions people get?
A lot of times students who are coming as freshmen will ask if they can bring their car to campus, and the answer is yes. We do allow freshmen to have cars. They get to park close to where they live. They don't have to park across campus or anything like that. I will sometimes get asked about the safety of our campus, and we do have a very safe campus. Our crime rate is very low compared to a lot of campuses in Illinois. And Springfield's a nice town to go to school in. The school I went to personally was in a lot more of a small area, and we had to drive a long way to come to a town like Springfield to be able to go to the mall. So it's pretty nice living in this town and being spoiled and having all that stuff right nearby. So I think that's definitely a perk.
How does commuting from class work?
Okay. We actually are a very large commuter campus. We offer a variety of different kinds of classes for traditional and non-traditional students. A lot of the majors that are more popular with adult students who may already be working tend to have evening offerings, so people can come to class after work. We also have a lot of online options as well if you don't want to have to commute, but we have lots and lots of commuter students, and we actually have a new office on campus that is working to kind of support and make it a better environment for our commuting students, and they're hosting some events like during class time breaks, breaks between classes. They're kind of hosting gathering events, so you have somewhere to go and meet friends during your breaks between classes.
That's a great question.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you think is the best thing about living in Springfield?
Personally, the thing I like the best is I'm actually from the Chicago area and the suburbs, and it feels very comparable to me without all the traffic, which is kind of awesome. It's like best of both worlds, the restaurants and things like that I was used to having at home. I have all that here, and it's a nice small community where you can get around easily, and most things that I want are here. And there's also other cities that are within about an hour drive. Bloomington's about an hour from here. Peoria is about an hour from here. St. Louis is an hour and a half. So if there's other services you want that Springfield may not have, they're close by too, and it's just a short road trip to get to those. So that's one of my favorite things. There's a lot of cool events in town. They've got, events for holidays. They have the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and there's a cool event around in fall. They call it the Jack-o'-lantern Spectacular, where they carve like thousands of, whatever year it is, they carve that many pumpkins. The public gets to come and do it for free, and then the following weekend they light them all. So if you kind of learn the area, there's really a lot of neat events in town that I think is kind of a cool thing about living here. I've been here about 7 years, and I'm really happy in the area.
Let's see if we can find any more questions here.
Okay.
What was your favorite class?
I actually did not do my undergraduate here. I am, however, taking master's classes here. I work here full time, but in the evenings I take some classes. My favorite class so far has been my Intro to Family Counseling class. I'm in the counseling master's program here, so it was a class where we kind of got to actually hands-on practice being a counselor working with an entire family. So
That's good.
And I guess I'll elaborate a little bit more. I took some of the prerequisites for my major here, which were undergraduate classes. I took an intro to psychology class and a developmental psychology class, and both of those were online. And personally, I was terrified of doing online classes. I had never done any when I went to school the first time, and it was really wonderful. The professors here do such a good job of making you still feel a part of the class. Personally, for me, I think I still prefer in class just because that's who I am. I like to be able to interact and things like that. But even with the online education, the professors did a great job of making me feel like I was a part of the class and still getting to know them very well. Actually, the professor who taught the first class I did online, I still keep in contact with and used him as a reference for my master's degree program and everything. So you do make connections even when you are doing online education, if anyone is considering that here. Anyone else?
What are some of the fun things to do on campus?
Okay. Probably, like I did briefly mention that we have a lot of events on campus, and I elaborated a lot about the week-long events, but not so much the ones that are kind of dispersed out in between. But we've got a lot of times Student Life will host free movies for students to attend and go to. Usually it's after they've left the theater, but before they've come out on DVD, so you can go see newer movies, not brand new. But we've got comedians that come to campus. We've had things like hypnotists come here. There's just lots of events. Our Student Life does a event on Friday nights once a month called Late Night Stars, which I think is a pretty cool event. They host it down in our Stars Lounge on the east side of campus. And what it is, it's basically just kind of a gathering, but they give it a theme. Like they've done a James Bond theme one, and they had fake gambling tables and a mocktail bar and just kind of different James Bond themed things. And they give away prizes, so they have really awesome prizes too. They've given away netbook computers and Nintendo Wiis for the grand prize. So you pretty much just show up and win prizes and kind of get to have fun. And the thing that I think is so neat about that is all the students come, so you get to meet people that aren't necessarily in your major or in your classes or live right near you. They may live on East Campus or on the west side of campus if you live on East, so you kind of get to know people around campus.
Another question we had come in, what do you think is the best thing about living in Springfield?
Very best. I kind of like that I like I said, I'm from the Chicago area and moved down here for grad school and never really went back. I like that people in this area are really nice and friendly. I've had, people that come to the area, and I think that's one thing that's really nice. I think our campus is very welcoming, and the town is too.
What's the best place to eat in Springfield?
My opinion or popular opinion? Popular opinion, I'd probably say Darcy's, which is a place where they serve horseshoes. And for those of you who are not Springfield natives, it's sort of a local thing. It's any kind of open-faced sandwich and a burger or ham sandwich or veggie burger, buffalo chicken sandwich, and they put French fries on top of it and they pour cheese sauce on top. So roughly a heart attack on a plate, but they are pretty good. It's not my favorite thing, but I think that's a pretty big landmark in town. One of the places I love to eat, it's a small Mexican restaurant. It's a chain. It's called La Bamba, and it's somewhere between sit-down dining cuisine and fast food. It's kind of in the middle there where you go and order at the counter, but the family that owns it is really nice. They moved here from Mexico, and opened up this chain of restaurants, and my husband and I probably go there about once a week to eat. So
Sounds
it's one
good.
of my favorites.
How old is UIS? Is it an older school or a newer school?
We were founded in 1969. We were just a transfer university when we started out, so you had to have your first 2 years done and you would transfer here junior year. And we were acquired by U of I in 1995. And then a couple of years later in 2001, we had our first freshman class. And at that point, we only had honors freshmen. So we had around 100 people in our freshman class that year, and we've grown a bit since then. In 2006, we opened up, we still kept our honors program for freshmen, but we also opened a general class of freshmen.
Good.
So, yeah.
Any good places to go shopping in Springfield?
There are. We do have White Oaks Mall, which is a pretty decent mall. It's got good stores. It's got a Bergner's and a Macy's, and Sears, I think, are the big anchor stores, and there's a lot of different stores, American Eagle and Hollister, and there's an Old Navy in town, so lots of good places to go shopping. There's a lot more boutique type stores in the downtown area, so there's a lot of littler privately owned shops down there.
All right, let's see if we have any other questions.
And of course we have 3 Walmarts, which are open 24 hours for college students to go buy ramen noodles at 3 in the morning, because that's something that all college students must do.
I think we have 4 GameStops too.
There might actually be more.
That's true.
There's usually one right by every Walmart, and then there's one in the mall too, I know.
Well, let's see if we can find any other questions.
So why is it important for a student to get involved on campus?
Getting involved on campus really, to me, my own personal opinion, I feel like college academics are very, very important, but also there's more to it than that. It's kind of where, as cheesy as this sounds, it's where you figure out who you are. So the way to do that is to try out new things and, get involved on campus. And it just makes your experience so much more fun. You meet new people that you wouldn't have met had you not gone to college and gotten involved. So I think it just really makes it a better experience. And that's when you get to have the most fun, is when you're joining things and going to events. So.
All right.
You mentioned that UIS has small class sizes. So why is that important for a student?
One of the things that I think is so key about the small classes here is that because you get the chance to know your professor so well, you're not lost in the crowd. They know your name. I've had students tell me that if they were struggling, they've actually had professors send them an email and say, hey, I've noticed you're kind of having a hard time. One of our former student ambassadors, he actually, he was an accounting major, so he was a little bit more wired for math than he was for English, and he was in an English class. And his professor realized that the whole class was struggling with this project that they had to do. So the professor actually invited the entire class to his house, bought them pizza, and kind of went over the project with them again, so they felt a little bit more comfortable with it. And that thing, I know that sounds like kind of an outlier type story, but it's really common to hear things like that happen here. So I just think it's such a unique opportunity. And as far as, advancing your career afterward, you get to know professors, and your professors know their field, and they sometimes still work in your field. So that's connections, and when you're trying to find jobs, connections are so important, and they may know of internships that you can have that are of interest. And, teachers at big schools might know that too. They might have connections, but if they have a class of 300 people, they may not know you very well. So here, they get to know you, and they also know what things out in your field might be a good fit or a good opportunity for you.
How's the computer science department here?
Computer science is good. Dr. Mims is the chair of the department, and I apologize, I know a teeny little bit about every major. I don't know in depth, and computer science is a bit over my head, but if you would like to provide me with your email address, I would be happy to send you an email, and I can get you in contact with the department chair, Dr. Mims. He's fantastic, and he knows it much better than I do, and he will give you lots of information about it. But I do know the program is on the top list of recruited schools for State Farm Insurance, so I know they really love to hire our computer science graduates. So,
All right. Any other questions we can field for anyone that's in here?
Are there any scholarship opportunities available to students?
there are. We've got several different scholarship opportunities. For freshmen, we have the Lincoln Scholarship, and if you choose to do the honors program instead of the traditional program, we have the honor scholarship instead of the Lincoln. And those scholarships are automatically awarded if you meet the minimum criteria. And we also have a separate pool of scholarships that you can apply for called our institutional scholarships. You just need to fill out one application, and the deadline is always February 15th for that scholarship application. So just make sure you're on top of your deadlines because that's a very strict deadline. And you fill out the application, and there's an essay that you write, but it goes out to about 120 different scholarship committees, so you don't have to apply to each one individually, which is very nice. And anything that you get from that institutional pool would be in addition to your merit-based scholarships. And we also have transfer merit scholarships that are open to our transfer students, and those are also automatically awarded. The institutional scholarships that you apply for are for everyone, so freshmen, transfer students, and graduate students apply for those.
In general, how are the clubs here?
Clubs are very active. They get really involved, and like I said, at that first involvement expo that we have at the beginning of the year, they all set up a table and bring out fun things and giveaways to kind of get you interested in their club. And there's lots of different ones, like the just as far as an example, I mentioned that we have a lot of cultural clubs. The cultural clubs host an international fair or international festival every fall. So they have different performances from around the world, and each one kind of shows off their culture. And maybe, like, I know we have like an Indian dance troupe that does dances, and they have food from all over the world, and that's a free event for our students to attend. So they definitely get very involved. Most of the clubs and organizations will have a float, the homecoming parade, and I see students all the time. Like the last week, I think I've seen 4 or 5 different bake sales for fundraisers. I know I saw a cool fundraiser last year. Our biology club, rather than just doing something like a bake sale, they grew tomato plants as part of a project, and then they sold the tomato plants for like $2 to faculty and staff and students so they could grow tomatoes at home, which I thought was kind of neat. So they definitely are very active here.
Great questions. Any other questions we can field? Tracking to the website again.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, if you guys do have any more questions, or if you can't think of any right now but think of some tomorrow, you can definitely send us an email at admissions. If you want to put it at attention, Jilly can send it to me and I can answer them for you. And if not, one of the other admissions counselors will we'd be able to get back to you. So if you do think of anything, just let us know, okay?
All right.
All right. Thank you, guys.